What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you come in and you check out the content. And with that being said, I want to talk about a recent discussion that I heard with on the podcast Run It Back, right? And they were talking about, is Giannis the greatest Milwaukee Buck of all time? And the more and more I hear these type of discussions, the more and more I think that people always say, well, it's not fair to compare different eras, and I really believe that it's really not fair. Number one, and number two, it's just so hard to compare the eras. You know, especially like, all right, when it comes to the greatest Bucks of all time, you have Oscar Robertson, which most of us, I never saw Oscar Robertson play. Most of us, you know, I don't know how old and I'm in my 50s and I never seen Oscar Robertson play. So to have a good idea and a great appreciation for Oscar Robertson, you probably have to be like in your late 50s, and beyond to have an appreciation for Oscar Robertson. Then when you get to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like by the time I started following basketball, Kareem was like on the back half of his career, not even a half, like the back 1/3 of his career. He had way more time behind him than he did in front of him by the time I started following Kareem. Because I started following Kareem, like I didn't see him at all when he's with Milwaukee, not at all. So I didn't start watching Kareem until he was with the Lakers, and that was like in the early 80s, right? And so he was a totally different player than he was when he was at Milwaukee. So, and that's the case for a lot of people that are around now. Like I said, you had to be in your probably late 50s or so, depending on when you started, following basketball. Probably your late 50s before you can really get into. You had an opportunity to see these two guys play. So then now, like, what do you base that on? Like, do you base it on like stats and stuff like that? Because there's no eye test. You can go back and look at film, of Oscar Robertson playing when he was with the Bucks, or you can look at Kareem, when he was with the Bucks, right? But something's still gonna be missing. Like, you don't get like that feel of being uh in that era, like what each win, each loss, with each season, what it meant to the team, like that emotional roller coaster that go along with following the sport and being a part of that team. You don't get that feel for what it was, right? You just looking at that film with no connection to time, circumstance, or era, or anything like that, right? So I think it's hard to judge. Now, as far as Giannis, I think Giannis, in my opinion, I think Giannis is an excellent basketball player. I don't know if he's better than like from what I seen from Kareem when Kareem was at the Lakers. I would put Kareem ahead of Giannis, right? And that's just on the back of his career. Like I said, with the Lakers. So that's at the back part of his career when he's with the Lakers that I and even then it's still, I think, it's unfair to compare the two, because I didn't see enough of Kareem. I like what I seen out of Giannis. I like the fact that Giannis came into the league and he was just a skinny kid with potential, worked hard, and he worked hard and improved. Nobody, they didn't know that Giannis was going to be what he is today. So that Giannis is a great story for Milwaukee. Um, so it's hard, and so this is the discussion that they had with on the podcast Run It Back. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play the audio from Run It Back. This question was posed to a guest. I'm not sure what the guest name was, but it's just hard to. And I think the guest also points out it's hard to compare these two different eras and these players. But I'm going to play the audio from the Run It Back podcast. Then I'm gonna come back and give some more commentary on what their guest said, the way he answered the question to Lou and the guy Chandler. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. So, the question was posed to a guest. I'm not sure what the guest name was, but I think the guest also points out it's hard to compare these two different eras and these players. But I'm going to play the audio from the Run It Back podcast. Then I'm gonna come back and give some more commentary on what their guest said, the way he answered the question to Lou Hold up. Oh, here we go. Now all of a sudden the reception don't even want to work.
Larry, when you get to Milwaukee, the greatest buck ever is probably Oscar Robertson. He wins a championship. He retires there. Some might say Kareem, who won 3 MVPs. Is it now Giannis? Like, has he surpassed both those guys? Is he the greatest buck of all time? His career is over. He still has a ways to go, but I mean, he's in that trajectory for sure. I think he's definitely on his way to being, the greatest buck. Larry,
All right, so he said that Giannis is on that trajectory, right? And like I said, basically, all you would have to go on if you didn't see Kareem or Oscar Robertson. I didn't even know Oscar Robertson has a championship. So Oscar Robertson had a championship with Milwaukee. Kareem had 3 MVPs with Milwaukee, right? But I thought that when Giannis won he won that championship. I think it was in 2021 or something like that, or 20. Yeah, I think it was 2021 when the Milwaukee Bucks won that championship. I thought then that Giannis was just getting ready to he was just getting ready to like take over the league at that time, because I mean the way he just dominated Phoenix in that series, man, you know, I just thought, yeah, this is Giannis' time. Giannis has arrived. I felt like nobody in the league had a answer for Giannis, and it was going to be Giannis for like the next few years. But I think what happened was they got rid of their coach, Mike. I think his name is Bludenhauser. I can't. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. But anyway, when they got rid of that coach, I thought that was a mistake. You just won it all with Giannis and that coach. Um, allowed this guy who knows Giannis' weaknesses, he knows Giannis' strengths, and allowed him to put people around Giannis that is going to be able to assist Giannis and being successful and maintain that level of success. They didn't do that. They got rid of who was the guard? Holiday. Was it? Yeah, it was Drew Holiday. They got rid of him, right? Which again, I thought it didn't make any sense, man. I just, so that was the opportunity. And some people said, they got rid of well, they didn't get rid of Holiday that first year. They got rid of the coach right after they won their championship. And they brought in the guy Griffin, Adrian Griffin, right? Which I thought was I like Griffin, but I just thought that the guy Budenhauser, that was his team. It's almost like he has his hand on the pulse of the team. He knows it would have been. I don't know. Sometimes these teams they let the players be the general manager, and I just thought that was it bit them. They got rid of the coach. They brought in the guy Griffin. And after Griffin didn't really he didn't really mess with Giannis. Then it after that it was all downhill. Then you get rid of Holiday and you bring in a guy, you bring in Dame Lillard. You was wasting time. You was starting over in a situation where you just had to build on what you already had. Why start over when you just add to what you already have? Giannis is a great player. As long as the Milwaukee Bucks have Giannis, the guy Middleton and Porter, Portis, my fault. You just build on that, and you pick and you plug players in that fit into the system that you have. Giannis is the mainstay. I know Chris Middleton was hurt and Portis was getting older, but I think they mismanaged that situation. They could have put Giannis in a situation where as though it would have been no doubt that Giannis was a better buck than uh Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson. It would have been if had they managed that situation better, then people would be like, oh yeah, this guy Giannis, because he would have had, in my opinion, I think he probably would have had 2, maybe 3 rings in Milwaukee. But they mismanaged that, especially with getting rid of that coach and getting rid of Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, and he's the kind of guard that Like that, his teammates respect him, his teammates trust him, and so like if Drew just gives he run your offense, he gives the ball to the who's hot, not just coming down every time, just giving it to Giannis and getting out the way. That's not team basketball. But if Giannis was, he'd have fed Giannis. He just was a great game manager, floor general, and so they let that go for a guy who and Dame Lillard just did not fit their system. They wanted more points when I think that they should have got it from they messed that point guard position up. Giannis needed a point guard, and they took that from Giannis, and they wasted time. They wasted at least 2 or 3 years of his career when they could have been just adding on to what makes Giannis better. And so you can't answer that question now because they didn't put Giannis in a position to win. So that's my take on it. Y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.